Everybody, welcome to our price pattern class. My name is Mike Fairborn. It is good to be with you. Sitting in for Rachel Deshelle, who is out today. Rachel does a great job in this class. Encourage you to take a look and view her each and every week, but also check out her recorded sessions as well within her playlist. Does a great job there. So, with that, folks, looking at a number of different price patterns today, as we have the S&P 500 index, possibly the Nasdaq as well, NASDAQ 100 in a position where it might be flagging. And when you get the whole index flagging, you can find a lot of price patterns, not necessarily just flags, but other patterns in there as well. So I'll look forward to diving on into that with you all today. Would like to welcome you into the chat. Hello to you. Life in the fast lane. Always. Yeah, always perfect. Good to have you here. As well as Katlina, as well as Michael, Kevin, Jay Richardson, and all. I'm joined in the chat by a good friend and colleague of mine, Brent Moores. So any questions, comments you have, throw those in the chat so we can check those out for you. But Brent, uh, appreciate Brent being here, good friend of mine. You can follow him on X, Brent Moores CS. That CS stands for Charles Schwab, Mike Fairborn CS as well. Love to have you join us. All right. Well, on that note, let's get started here with some disclosures just to get into things here and get going. So first off, the paper money software application is provided for educational purposes only. As it states here, investing does involve risk, including the loss of principal. Now, information here is also for general information purposes only, should not be considered an individualized recommendation or personalized investment advice. Some other points just to note here. There are risks associated with investing in dividend-paying stocks. We're going to run across a few of those today as we go ahead and take a look at a few, setups across the board here. There's no guarantee that the execution of a stop order will be at or near the stop price, past performance, no guarantee of future results. Okay, well, with that, let's go ahead and get sharing here. Taking a look at some of our Mag 7, but what I'll do is I'll pull this up, just take a look starting off here with our S&P 500 index initially. See what we've got on that. Okay, there it goes. I don't like when it pauses like that, especially when we're live, because it never pauses before. Only when I click on live, just kidding. But sometimes that happens. Folks, look at this. This is the S&P 500 index, and you can see, I'm just dragging this down just so you can see our potential price target on a longer term scale. I've drawn that in place here. I've also drawn in a couple other points targets. One of them is this triangle that you can see pretty clearly over here. You have to say there's an interesting triangle formation, let's say right through here. Yep, that was developing. The highest leg and the lowest leg of the triangle represents this distance in price. We add that to the breakout of the triangle, which was actually over here initially. That right there is our initial shorter term target in terms of the triangle. So park that in your mind. I'll get you a read on what that level is here in just a second. In addition, we do have another one here. Let's clear this off. We have another level, and that is, by the way, that level, it's about 78, 79, 7,800 for the initial target in terms of our triangle target right there. Now you can see clearly that we do have, yes, that longer term flag pattern here because it is. I mean, we ran up big, we consolidated a very long time, and now represented in the same dashed blue line, that's our target, which rests just above 8,500. And we'll see what we can do in terms of any ground being made there, if in fact we do just, are able to go higher from here. But I did want to note, and I'm going to click on this here. Let's go do this. We do have a smaller, pattern within a pattern as well on our S&P 500 index. Clicking this low. In fact, let's just do this. I'm going to start over. We'll clear this guy out, and I'm going to go into a shorter term time frame. 6 months is fine, but I have to pull this down so you can really see. I realize there are a lot of different lines in here, but this level right here, see that right, that low to that high, that represents also the possibility of another price target. If I just activate it, now that we've seen the pull of the flag, I can drag it over here and there you go. Now this is much high. Well, this is higher than, quite a bit higher too, than our target for our triangle target, right? It sets us up closer to 8,200. So we have a triangle target shorter term. A little bit longer term is the regular shorter term flag pattern, right? This sets up about 82. And then, of course, we've got our longer term pattern as well. That's like, what was that, 87 or so? I'm just going to pull it down one more time just to see. 86, more like it. Yeah, 86. So there you go. One, two, and three there. Potential targets that we could kind of explore and look at. So with that in mind, yeah, so there's one, there's two, and then there is three bullish levels here. Okay. All right. Well, that's that. That's what's going. There is an ETF on the S&P 500 index. We don't talk about ETFs here, but some people will just look to trade, let's say the ETF on the S&P 500. Now, here's the NDX. As we take a look at the NDX, the NASDAQ, something similar here. This is a really potentially big run. And for those people out there, and I know you're out there, that are looking at that AI productivity, I don't want to say bubble necessarily. I mean, it's probably a bubble to a degree. We don't know 100%, but that expansion in AI and growth, you can see where that longer term price pattern could be if you were buying into that sort of macro theme, right? We can actually see it actually even a little bit easier over here. Here's our weekly, but there, oh, geez, I don't need to scroll in too far on this. Look at that. Boom, right there. So the macro theme there would be, well, there is your weekly flag pattern, right? That's it. I'm going to put it up here just so we have it, but off these lows to the high, take that flag pattern, the pole of that flag pattern. I'll just duplicate it in this case. A number of different ways to utilize these tools. Drag it off the bottom, and there you go. NASDAQ, interesting, puts us super close to that 35K level, 35,000 level. But that would be your price target if you were buying into the macro theme of an AI expansion. Why do we say AI expansion? Well, NASDAQ 100, yeah, it's about 68% roughly technology. Not all of that is AI and semiconductor build. If there is AI hardware, and that expands it too. I mean, semiconductors is one aspect of AI. There's hardware as well behind the scenes, like other companies out there, too, to be mindful of. But I wanted to highlight this one. Of course, within this too, what do we have? Well, there it is. There's the shorter term flag as well. So it is kind of interesting to see us get going. We are seeing too, I'm going to throw this out there. I know this is not a price pattern, but it's like a pattern on a day-to-day basis. And that is going to be something along the lines of, let's just say, a candlestick pattern, maybe a hammer here, maybe a hammer pattern, getting close to it, sort of hammer-ish. Now, that can help to be the catalyst for getting the price pattern to get rolling, right? Short term in nature. That's what we're kind of looking at there, right? So park that in your mind. In other words, you might actually be using a small sort of price pattern in terms of day-to-day candlesticks to get it going. We have other things like that as well. Like, for example, we do have, um, you know, well, on the S&P 500, I'll pull it up right now. So the S&P 500, we have other sorts of indications here, gap down, maybe a breakup through the gap. There are other indications that we can get to get us going and back. In fact, we have things too. Let's dive into some stocks now as we get into the core portion really of our discussion here. But let's say, for example, I'm going to look at some of the Mag 7 right now because what else could get a pattern like this going might be something like this. This is one that's been down for a little bit here. Here's Amazon. But do you see something else here? Well, yes, there is actually a little bit of a morning star pattern that you might see in terms of the candlesticks, which is just noted for a move down. I'm gonna get that just a little bit bigger. There we go. Move down, and then a sort of a doji type move, and then a follow through here. That is a morning star, and a lot of traders will look at a morning star pattern to kind of get us going. Now, I did pull up Amazon first just to stick with the bull flag theme. I've got some inverted head and shoulders to look at as well as some a diamond bottom, perhaps, as well as some others too, cup and handles, things like that. But you'll notice too, this has the potential for a hold in here as well. All right, the hold being right here, that is the hold. Close above the high of the low day. Why are these interesting? Because if you look over here specifically at a pullback down, you'll notice that we are making a low. Did we close above the high of that low? No. Low, new low, no close above it. Low, 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 low. It lets you follow the flag pullback down, which is what we might be looking at here in terms of a flag potential pattern. You see that? And then right here, that's a new low. That's yesterday within that morning star, within a potential bull flag, within another larger bull flag. And now you're getting the possibility of a close above the high to low day. I have to say, though, at the end of this hold, I have to put it here because I have to say question mark. And the reason is that it's not done yet. The day is not over. We've got a little bit of time to go. It looks like it could be a hold, closing above the high to low day. And that's like the first initial point that we could get going to start this run. So let me go long term, then we're going to go short term and really break down that flag here for you. Oh, by the way, welcome to all of you just joining us here in the chat as well. Hello to you, Will. We've got others in here joining us, Kevin and NY and others. Good to have you here, Jim. All right, let's do this. I'm going to pull this over here. Sorry, I didn't catch everybody. I'm just reading up top of the list and going on down, but let's back this out and let's go into our daily chart. Now, we had this big run. Now, this is maybe more the one of the more obvious flag patterns, we'd have to say. Ooh, by the way, and a good read over here too. You just have to say, I mean, for those of you that do like, some of the momentum indications, yeah, there was a big move up. There was also, we had a break higher on our money flow line. This does what traders will look for. Money flow. It's not an oscillator. It's accumulation or distribution of buying or selling. It's a nice little move up, little momentum here. And let's just stretch it out a little bit further. Those of you that do follow fundamentals or fundamental type themes, they beat earnings. And how did the market respond to those earnings? Well, that's a pretty big size gap. And a lot of times it is earnings that gets us started moving out of a longer term. And that's a long, long range. It really is. I mean, we're not that far away from actually right there. That's November of last year. That's right. That's before Thanksgiving of last year. And look at this. If I just follow that same line along, well, that's where we're sitting right now. Earnings. Do you see another earnings gap like this? The last one I saw was over here, which got us out of a prior range, which was a high, but perhaps we see a bounce now and we see some signs of that getting going. Now, I'm going to clear this off, but I did want to highlight this range right there. So this, from this low to this high, that is the potential for a flag pattern. Now, we have, which is really cool, is we have another one as well. We have one right here. I'm just going to draw some lines in here so you can see it. This one, I'm going to eyeball this one, but this one over here could set us up about to this level, somewhere in here. That's off our chart. Good problem to have if you're long, I guess, and it does go up high. Off the chart is always a nice thing. It's got to go there, though, but that's above 300. Where does 300 sit, though? Now I'm going to get a little bit more specific and make sure we get these accurate readings on this potential bull flag with the big earnings gap, confirmations of momentum, as well as maybe volume from that money flow right there. Confirmations, or I should just say expectations. Some traders will see it as an expectation. Let's go ahead and right click, because that represents the full distance of the flag. Duplicate and pull it to the right off the bottom. Where do we get? Oh, geez, we're above 300. We're above. What was I thinking? That's closer to 320. So it hasn't closed above there yet. We don't have a close above the high to low day, but we could start to get rolling. Is there a general theme of the trend in here? Folks, the trend is up. This is a new high on that earnings move. Do you see us clear that high? Now, did we dip back down? We sure did. There's our flag right there. But some traders are going to look for that. I'm going to zoom in one more time here. See what I mean, folks? The market fair? if you know what to look for, if there's a lot of stuff to look at, you can get more expectations of it, right? With different technical indications that traders look for. So the market is fair to some degree, but you have to put the time in, which you guys are doing, which I commend you for, because that's the only way to do it. Glad we can be of assistance in that regard, show you what we've learned over the years as well. But this is the other thing I was just going to point out. That right there. Can I draw an arrow there? Yes, I can. It's resting on the prior high, too, right at that major gap, which is also known as support. Now, I could go through these things all day long. It's rare that I actually have we have this many expectations. We just don't get all of these sorts of technical indications all the time. But even with all those technical indications, we don't ever have 100% understanding that it is going to go up, right? We just don't know that. It's the future and we don't know it. But be sure to let us know if you do know it. No, but over here, let's put a trade on here getting started. Now this is an anticipation trade. We're anticipating that it is a close above the high to low day and that morning star pattern fits. I don't have a chance to put it in as in like another day because our session's right now. So let's just say the trader is anticipating this on this paper trade. That is the entry. Let's just go 100 shares. It's expensive stock. It's in the 260 range. So maybe that could be a little high, but we could do 50 shares. Fine. Let's go over here. I'm going to right click, buy custom OCL bracket, get our order set up over here. This was closer to what? It was like 320. That's a big upside. I mean, if it even hits that smaller term flag, it could be pretty substantial. I'm going to set this up for now, and then we'll just eyeball it and move our stop around maybe a low on the chart that gives us maybe a little bit of space between where we're at right now. 100 shares is going to be what? Yeah, about buying power effect about 6,500 as it stands right now. I'm just going to go ahead and go with the 100, a full round lot. Okay, this is a paper trade. But it's an expensive stock, and I can see how even doing paper trades, you might want to organize this. So it might be 50 shares or whatever. But this is anticipation of the hold and the initial bounce higher. Send. Okay. We send it through. Nothing yet coming in. Nothing yet. All right. That's okay. We'll see if we get that we went through the process of it. But let's just go over here now. And there's the trade. Those 100, what I wanted to do was just show you guys just a quick way. If you got the order in, it's easy just I like to visually just drag that level. Boom, right there, below those lows. Below the low of this point. So if we were wrong, we don't want to maybe risk a ton. We want to try to get out at this point right there. Now, the one thing I'll say, if you consider potential risk to potential reward, which it is, risk to reward, the risk is just, let's put it in red. The risk is, depending upon, exactly how that stop order feels, but I'm just saying it could be very close to here. This is a very liquid stock, and that all else equal is a positive thing for getting fills. But look at the size of the potential risk versus the size of the reward. Oh, I'm going to do this right there because I want to show you this. That is a possible target, by the way. This is what we refer to in the swing trading class or just swing trading in general is a T1 target. That's the target one. Do you see what it is? It's coming up to the prior high. Now that alone is it looks to me like a potential, okay, now I'm flipping it around. 3-to-1 in terms of reward to risk. Now, see, I can do that as things, right? I can call it reward, I can call it risk, I can flip the order. But in this case, folks, it is a reward to risk relationship. So even the T1 is like a 3-1. Now, if we're talking this up here, that's a much higher, I mean, that's maybe like another 4-to-1. So I'm just going to eyeball it and say that might be a 7-to-1, depending upon where we get our actual exit at. But park that in your mind. Okay. So that is a concept that a lot of traders will look at, and it's just sort of a way to do money management. And some traders might just take half the trade off there too. They might elect to do that. That would be one approach. All right, I'll just pause real quick. Just say, folks, if you're getting value out of this presentation, smash that like button. It lets us know. Also, be sure to follow Brent and I and other coaches. Oh, I got all my drawings on the page on our Trader Talks channel, which now we do have a 209,000 subscribers. Love to have you on board if you're not already on board. Here's a playlist of all of our classes that we've got here. I'm going to take you into Rachel so you can see it. That is her trading price patterns class right there. And you can see there's a full watch list there. I'm going to go ahead and just post that copy address right here into the chat. So you guys have it. And here it is. So I'll just do PP price patterns. All right. Uh, playlist. All right. And I was going to show you too, that concept is something that I also do in the swing trading class. Well, I do a little bit of money management in there. I'll post this one, and if you guys want to pick up more on that. The thing I like about price patterns, swing trading is about 3 days to 21 days. Price patterns, look what we're doing. We're going like on some of these bull flags, we're going out months for the possibility of that flag to unfold. We also have a short term too, which would fit a swing trade, but swing trading is a little bit different. But there is a little bit of an overlap. I do get a little bit of money management there if you're interested. There it is. Okay. Did one yesterday on the MACD hook, which is a concept out there. Okay. But there we go. That's Amazon. We're not done with the Mag 7 because if I did do this, MSFT, do you guys see the flag there? It's pretty obvious, right? Just noted for the flag itself. Just like this. Oh boy, I'm gonna make it big. Look at this. This is the flag. Comes up here like this, like a flag, and it just goes like this. And there are varying degrees of the flag portion and degrees of the pole too. But really a strong pull, which is also, boom, earnings related. You got you got some momentum, you got some volume associated with that. That's a big gap. But you can see where that might go to. Remember, many of these could be setting up for what a lot of traders believe might be a AI kind of bullish move. I'm going to set one here too because we are getting, ooh, we're getting the cold. We had a cold earlier today, but you see how that melted away? It's gonzo. Now it's no longer there. You can see it's now more of a shooting star, but because that's the high of the low day. You see how we moved below it? This is an area the market rejected. Of course, the day's not done, and we'll see if we can get back up above it, but still a little consolidation right to support. Now, price patterns. I don't want to lose track of that. Okay, the price pattern itself, I can get into the minutia real easy and just stay there for a while, but here is your price pattern with that nice earnings gap in the middle. There's the flag, pull, the pull of the flag, duplicate and pull it over. Just using thinkorswim tools. And notice to do that, just as a quick reminder, right down here, you guys could see, for those of you that are new, right there, I'm just using that drawing tool. That one there, that's the one that enables us to put the lines in here where we can set them in place and kind of go from there. But this is another one that is a Mag 7 type. Well, it is in the Mag 7, Microsoft. But then look at that, it puts us near 600, a big round number at 600. Let's put another trade on here while we've got it. Different, totally different area than Amazon, to a large degree. So let's do this. I'll put it on now. This one we will go, it's a little bit even more expensive. So I'm going to do this. We'll do this as a 50 share. I'll start that off first over here. Tab through. This is like, let's see. I'll just set it up and we'll drag it. We can drag both of them. So 460, just to put in some numbers so we can get the spacing of both of the OCO bracket lines. Okay, so let's confirm and send, but let's look at it first. It's always important to review our dialog box here, make sure everything looks okay and checks out. It's actually even more expensive, even with the 50 shares, because it's just that much more expensive of a stock. So let's set it up now, and there you have it. I'm going to drag this way up. right here to the 600. It's below that target. Now, that again is a T2 target. This I'm going to actually drag up to about right there, just below those lows. So we're anticipating that we are getting some strength here and a bounce. Now, this one has a little bit more weakness associated with it because of the fact that it is doesn't have a hold right now. We don't, I mean, it could unfold later today. There's our fill. So we've got the trade on. Now, anytime if I wanted to be notified, if it comes up to my T1 level and we're just kind of bouncing around, because that's a big round number too, 500. So let's just say we get up to this level and we decide maybe we want to take some profits because the price just isn't breaking through. Well, I'm going to take advantage of another tool that's really great to have right here. And that's, let's just click on it, right click, the alerts. So I'm going to say T1 target. In other words, it's at the high, at prior high. Okay, close that. I've got to come down here to notify my mobile device. Well, let's click on that. So I open it up. Make sure you have on the send push notifications to the mobile device. That's got to be there. In addition, up here, upper right-hand corner, let's go ahead and send it. You'd have to click on Setup Application Settings. If you're setting this up for the very, very first time, go to Notifications. Click on that. Set up your email or your, well, the email would be good. And also you could set up, the text messages, which is what I use. Okay, that's where you go to set that up though. All right. And just a super quick note on that, because we are talking about alerts, which are different from orders. And just to state that alerts aren't guaranteed to be delivered or delivered at a specific speed or time frame, should not be used as a replacement for actively being aware of your positions. Now, I bring that up, letting you know that I haven't had any issues with my alerts over the past 10 plus years, but they're not guaranteed, right? For timely, so actually, like, let's say, for example, there's no substitute for watching your actual position. So just wanted to state that. That's that. Great one to keep an eye on, though, to get those alerts. There's another flag. Do we have a larger flag at stake? Not so much. We just kind of have, oh, there's your weekly right there. Yeah, this is sort of a lot. What it really looks like to me is like a major double bottom on a weekly chart, folks. Weekly. Right there, right there, 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 there. There's a common theme there. And that common theme would be something like 350, right around that level, the 350 level that we've been getting some movement from. That's really a big bounce. What's so interesting about this? We talked about this. We didn't know it bounced that much. We're all the way up here near 500. But a lot of times, not every time, but this is sort of a price pattern, sort of, right? It's what makes up the price pattern. Support and resistance is part of a price pattern. If we just look at that on a weekly scale, weekly only, which is what we're on, 15-year weekly right here. Wow. You'd have to say you got some pretty interesting bounces. That's one, that's two, and that's three. Those were all decent size moves off of a longer term support. Interesting, isn't it? Just looking at the weekly. Sometimes we lose track of that weekly just because there's so much data and it's such a big time frame to look at. All right, well, let's move on into some inverted head and shoulders patterns. Now, one that does stick out, I looked at this yesterday in that swing trade class, and we just have I thought I would just keep them on the chart here, which is a lot of lines. But what they highlight here is an inverted head and shoulders pattern. We talked about this yesterday a little bit. Do you guys see them? Right there, there, and there. We're bouncing off it a little bit too. So there's the shoulder. There's the head. There's the shoulder. And developing underneath, does anybody see another one? Do you see another one? We've been looking at patterns within patterns, flags within flags, but anybody seeing another one in there that stands out to you? While I'm waiting on a response, because I would like you guys to look at it and just tell me, just throw it into the chat so we can see it. But where is the target off the initial head and shoulders? It's coming down, coming down, coming down. There it is, right there. Four, dang near 420. Very, very close to a 420, as you guys can see right there. See that? Incredibly close to 420. Michael, you got it. Another head and shoulders. There's a little bit of delay in the chat, so you got it. It is. It's right there. Yeah, but that's the longer term one. We have a shorter term one too, which is interesting. Yeah, let's get some little circles in there. There we go. So shoulder, head. That's the same. That's actually the shoulder on the right side. Excuse me. Yeah, the shoulder on the right side. It's actually the head over here. And then you could say shoulder again. Beautiful thing here is too is we did get past earnings. We talked a little bit about this yesterday in terms of breaking above those highs there. And yes, you got it. Okay, some others are saying exactly, Kevin, LM, exactly. You're getting it. You guys see it right there. So a shoulder within a shoulder. And what are we getting here? We're getting earnings. And it is an earnings beat, by the way. And the market did respond a little bit today. We said yesterday, hey, on the big day like this, there's the high, there's the low of earnings. Oftentimes when you get above there, this is being really tricky too, because we did get above, now we pulled back a little bit, but it is following through. You have to say to the upside, at least as it stands right now. This is so fascinating because it puts us in an area where we still have a summer rally, which oftentimes will run to the end of August into on a 10-year seasonality chart, maybe the first week of September, but oftentimes September is a little bit weaker on average. But remember, the seasonality is made up of combination. I have seen big moves come through September, October to the upside. So it really kind of depends. And remember, we might be in an AI expansion phase too. Oh, what does head and shoulders pattern mean? Good question, Moon Ninja. So what it is it is this. A head and shoulders pattern by itself is, I'm gonna go full, actually, let's do this. I have to remind myself I've got a blackboard right at my fingertips just by taking off that chart anytime. But this is noted as a head and shoulders, standard head and shoulders pattern. This is more of a bearish kind of a setup. You can maybe see the look of a somewhat of a, well, it's a person image, right? You've got a shoulder, a head, and a shoulder. And these price patterns are noted because we might end up getting on here a break below the neckline, and then you'd see a retracement, the distance of the largest move from the head to the shoulder on down. That is a price pattern retracement and the original projection of it. Now, with the inverted head and shoulders pattern, it is simply just the opposite, and it becomes more bullish in that regard. In other words, you get a shoulder down here. Oh, that's right. Shoulder right there. Do you see how it's inverted? We've just flipped the person on their head. And now we're looking at that neckline to the upside in terms of a projection. And that is exactly what we have here drawn in for you over here. That's the longer term one. Shoulder, head, shoulder. There's the distance. And that is your longer term price target right there. So let's do one more trade on this one. We've got some others to go through here. The trade's taking a little bit longer, but we'll get through them here. I'm going to go ahead and do 50 shares here as well. Post earnings expectation, maybe a run up. Well, let's do this one. First of all, too. So this projection short term, remember, that's just the smaller term right about here to the high. And what we do is if we break above that level, let's just activate this guy, pull it over here. It is not exactly a straight line, but it would look something like that to the upside. So 400 versus 420. I'm going to set this one up at 400. Okay. So utilizing the shorter term inverted head and shoulders pattern from the high to low range, keeping in mind that if it is really strong, somebody might just want to extend it to the upside. Okay. Let's go ahead and right click on our ask by custom OCO bracket order. Like I said, let's go 50. It's kind of expensive, but let's see. There we go. GTC, GTC. This was the 400 level. And again, I'll set this up just below, but I will just visually adjust this on the chart. Always remember to keep an eye on that dialog box. But buying power effect and other important features, make sure you got the right one in there. And there we go. We get an immediate fill. With that, let's go ahead and go over here, just take a look at our charts here. And we can see target was a little high. So let's pull the target down first. I'm going to put it just a little bit into our upper target range. And with this, we kind of have to decide what we want to do. We can go like this. We can go over here and we can say, well, it depends. How do you feel about this level where we're at right now? I'm going to put it below the midpoint, the 50% level of the prior earnings day, which is a big volume move. If we start to surpass the midpoint to the downside, the 50% level, which a lot of traders will use, I'm gonna go a little, hang on, I gotta really see that better. There we go. We'll just say right there. That's more easy to see. Do you see it? It's right below the doji area, the close and the open, as a possible support. Again, these could be very, very well positioned for us for a R&R. Reward to the upside, risk to the down. But if we get in here, look at that. Look at the distance, even on our short-term target, post earnings. Always park this in your mind, though, that it does come within sort of a time frame that could be a little challenging once you get past. I should have drawn this arrow there, or yeah, past this time frame. I mean, it could be any time frame, to be honest with you, but just using seasonality as a bit of a guide, I'll just say over here, that has been traditionally known as a weaker sort of general market condition. So I mean, do we have time to run? Uh, Given this area here, we sure do. In fact, we would have like this range between where we are here over to here, roughly. This area. Now, that's just using like normal seasonal trading ranges. It could dip any time. It could go up longer. Right. There's just variation there. Okay. So that's your head and shoulders moon. Is this a 2% entry above the neckline? Oh, good question. I just put it in now, but we could use a neckline. I put one in a little bit early. I did. That's true. I put the trade in now just to get one under our belt in anticipation post earnings and the hold, which would get us here. But I think, Michael, you bring up a good point, and that is, do you wait for this level, which I kind of have this sideways line at, but I'm really looking at this right here. So I think that's a really good point. Do you wait for the actual price pattern? I think many, many traders would. I got this one under our belt in anticipation. So let's say we did 50 shares here. Well, they could add 50 as well, breaking above there to the upside. Could be another thing that could be looked at. We have, and this is sort of similar. Not, it's not exact. I'd say it's more of a head and shoulders as opposed to a cup and handle, but there are cup and handles out here. We did talk about this one yesterday. I think many of you didn't see this. Well, if not in the swing trade class, we talked about it in the swing trade class. So I'm just going to leave it out here. Already have a trade on. It's an even more expensive stock. I just did 20 shares on it, but this was actually a longer term cup and handle. Let me draw that pattern, as you can see right over here, just like that. Cup handle right there. Handle right in here. And then the bounce. We did get some holds in here. We got some interesting candlesticks too, but that is coming up. And we actually did hit, if this was a flag pattern, because remember, at the end of a cup and handle, you have a longer term flag. You also have a shorter term flag. Gosh, if I go off the bottom, there's your flag, right? There's kind of like one there, but I'm actually more inclined to do the cup and handle and long-term projection, and this as the flag pattern in blue. A little bit more of a swing trade time frame. We did hit the T1 target today. I elected to go up to a higher level. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull this one down, I think, for this class. Well, here's your long, no, I'll keep it where it's at. That's fine. Here is the cup and handle target. Highest range right here, your highest level to the lowest level. We have a line that shows us that. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna straighten these lines. That bugs me. They're a little bit off center just slightly, but it's just highlighting the vertical range of price. Either way, right? It's right there. Okay. So on the break above the top of the cup, right, or the neckline of the cup, you call it that, that would be the price target, putting us up to 700 here. It's interesting. So this is one that has been followed by a few analysts as well, talking about strength towards the end of the year. Now, some analysts, I'm sure, are against that. Some are for it. I just have heard of it in the news. By the way, anytime you want to take a look at the news, you can come down here and just look at the news. Alrighty. And you can see over here, and by the way, there's a little bit of news in there too to take a look at. Boy, knock yourself out, right? Woo, line after line of news. There you go. All right, so that is for MA. Now, Google, what here we are again, back into the Mag 7. Let's take these guys out. This is a little bit of what you refer to. It's kind of like what's called a diamond bottom, but diamond bottoms will happen sometimes at really low levels. Let me draw it out so you can see it. It's one of those more rare patterns. It's rare in the sense that I don't see it very often. Maybe you guys do, but look over here. So this is the pattern right there. So you draw it off the high and off the low right there. Now, do they always line up as a perfect diamond? No. Here's another one right there. You can see where the diamond shape is coming in, and then this one would be somewhere over possibly here. Uh, that's the diamond. Sometimes they're very clear. I've seen them just like this, like more of a, a better, kind of a better shape to look at, but just more symmetrical in a lot of ways. But this one's a little bit off, but you can see that what it's really made up of here is actually a higher low. Now, I think you could also say here too, there's another pattern in here. Not a lot of them look like this, but okay, I can't. Oh, I know why. It's a different drawing tool. I'm going to take this off for a second. Let's clear it. Yeah, clear drawing set. Boom. All right. So we could also say shoulder, head, shoulder, right? It's a little bit stronger with the diamond. It's like a head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders pattern. I got to say the word inverted. Like this is an inverted head and shoulders pattern. What makes the diamond unique? Right there. See how we extended higher? To have the diamond, you have to have that extension up. So it breaks a high, and where's Google at? It's just sitting there. Is that 340? It is 340. Wow. Sometimes, the market just gives us a lot to look at here, right? A lot of possible price patterns and different scenarios and setups, folks. I hope you all found this helpful. Oh, Walmart. Let's see. Kevin says Walmart. Let's just pull it up real quick and see if we can spot that as the last one. By the way, be sure to follow us on X, Brent Moore CS, Mike Fairboard CS, and let's take a look at that WMT. Oh yeah, it is similar. It is similar. The funny thing about it is you get the big spike, and then it will dip even kind of like down here. But you're right. It's very, very close. It's diamond-ish. Is that a word? Diamond-ish right there. Ooh, there you go. It's very similar. If this one dipped down a little bit, we'd be spot on. It might even actually be a little bit higher. It's got to be lower than this point, hence the shape of the diamond coming down there, Kevin. But I'm going to tell you, man, diamond-ish, you got it for sure. It is diamond-ish. Um, don't look for that word in the dictionary, but it is along those lines for sure. In there, it is. It kind of falls in that category. So, hey, you guys, we do post these on X. I actually did post this here last night, just the cup and handle. If I see them, and we talk about them, whatever the case might be, I'll put them in here. But that is your cup, possible cup and handle developing post earnings. But yeah, be sure to follow Brent. Be sure to put your name, Brent, in the chat down here so they could follow you as well. Let me do this real quick. And then we should be all good to go. There we go. All right, everybody. Well, that is what I had for you today. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And I will look forward to future discussions. Thank you, Brent. Have a great day, everybody. See y'all next time.